Welcome to another edition of Talking About Practice. I'm Luke Toohill, and today we're in Canberra visiting two early childhood services to talk with them about the quality improvement process and how they've gone about it over the past 3 years. Each of the services is quite different. One's received a rating of exceeding, one's received a rating of working towards. Yet both, I think, have found the whole process of thinking about quality improvement and developing their quality improvement plan a really valuable way to think about and improve their practice over time.
My name's Lisa Surrett. I'm the manager of the AIS Caretakers Cottage here in Canberra. We're a 48-place long daycare service. And so my responsibility is the management and overall direction of the service.
My name's Christy Ward and I'm a senior educator in the Il Nido room, which is our infants room. And I've been working in the sector for over 20 years.
Hi, I'm Tanya from Campbell Street Children's Centre in Queanbeyan.
We did some training as a staff team around what the quality standards were and what the quality improvement plan looked like. So we did some online training. We did use some video resources, some ECA resources, and got together and did some thinking around that so that people got a bit more familiar with the standards and the framework and what a quality improvement plan looked like, so that that gave us a bit of a starting point. We had some really good resources that we used to get us all on the same page.
We brainstormed obviously what the key areas that I thought that we needed to develop. From then actually that was quite broad. So now moving through what we've learnt and how we've sort of evolved, it's become more specific to what we sort of need, and it links more into our centre, our strategies as a service, what we want to achieve in our mission statement, and also it links into other things like our workplace health and safety management plan and things like that. So it's become more specific and it links a lot more into other aspects of the service.
I think in a lot of ways being involved in the accreditation process is helpful. So we were certainly used to self-assessment and self-reflection because we had to do that through accreditation. So yeah, I think that was helpful for us, but we did need to get used to a different focus. Certainly thinking about what we did well in terms of the quality standards, and thinking about it a bit differently rather than just ticking boxes. Certainly driven by myself and the educational leader, so there needs to be somebody who's making sure it all happens and gets submitted on time and that sort of thing. But
we worked with families, we worked with children, so everybody in our community was involved.
Yeah, and so different staff took on responsibility for different quality areas and collecting evidence or thinking about it or asking questions, so that there was full involvement and helped people get familiar with the standards themselves as well as familiar with the QIP process.
I feel that the quality improvement plan gave me an opportunity to really note down and think through what I was trying to achieve and what we as a service were trying to achieve, and it made me look at different aspects of our service. It wasn't just the physical environment, things like that, so it made me think through my outcomes a lot more and how I was going to achieve that. So I felt like it gave me a process to follow, and that it was it's a way to show people what you're doing and how you're going about it.
And I think that process also allowed for staff that had a particular interest in areas to actually get involved in those areas, and so everyone got to have a say, particularly in areas of interest, which made it just an easier process, I think. Certainly know on the day it meant that we knew what we sort of knew what we would be asked, what the focuses would be. We also knew we were also comfortable to actually answer questions. So I think that made the whole assessment process easier, I know, from educators' perspective. So everyone on the day came to work like it was a normal day and did what we do, and that was
and that was certainly something that beforehand we were emphasised with all the team, and we had casual staff working for us on that day, that this is a day like any other day, that you should be just doing the practice that you always do because that's what the assessor wants to see, and you should just be answering the questions as best you can because that's what the assessor wants you to do. So there was no sense of stress. There was nothing new for educators. There was nothing new for children. There wasn't new resources out there. There wasn't new ways of doing things. So it was felt really comfortable on the day.
After the validation process, that became another stepping stone or springboard into our new quality improvement plan because it gave us things that we needed to work towards and think about a little bit more. Because it identified. Yeah, absolutely. So our validation report actually provided a little bit of a self-assessment for us as well, anyway, to move forward into our new quality improvement plan. With the physical upgrades of the environment as an old service, that's continued through, but the new parts have become the educational program and practice and how, as a director, I view staff and I view staffing and professional development. That's changed a lot, and that's linked through with improving the quality of our educational program practice. I would say that we're not focusing as much on the upgrade of the physical environment. I'd say now it's more about using that physical environment to meet those educational outcomes that we really want to achieve. So I think that we've upgraded most of the environment now, so now we can see where we can go as a blank canvas, but also that environment has then formed the basis for changes to how we do things because we've changed structures of the rooms, we've changed our routines to suit our environment, so it's changed pretty much everything. I think as a staff we're very enthusiastic about moving forward now because we know where we've been and we don't want to go back there.
We've done it once, so we're still refining how we do it. I think we've still got goals related to the planning process, including trying to engage families, children differently, find innovative ways to get that kind of input, so you're not just sending out surveys all the time, or you're finding ways to engage all those. You always get some families who engage, so engaging those families who maybe don't. So we're still, refining that, finding ways to get all educators more involved. You can always do things better. So certainly, in terms of the QIP itself, I think we're continuing to grow how we do that. How we record what we do well, I think we could do better next time. So put children's voices, put family voices in there differently in the report itself.
So I think we've probably approached it with more confidence this time round though, because we've been through it before. So we've been through the process now. There's really no unknown. So I think that's will make it easier once you've been through it once and you understand the process.
One of the best things about the EYLF is reflection. I think that previously we weren't doing it enough. We were just getting caught up in the day-to-day. And now that we're reflecting more, we're actually finding that we're evolving more as a staff and as a team. And it's just benefit the children to no end. It's wonderful for them. There's so many more learning objectives that we can meet because we're actually thinking more about what we're doing. And the staff have really come together as a team.
And I do think that one of the aims of the EYLF and the NQS was raising the standard, and reflective practice is part of that, and I think on the whole the sector's embraced it as a really positive thing. I do think we also though put together some really effective strategies to encourage reflective practice, and one of those we have regular pedagogical meetings where staff come in and just might share a reading and then discuss it and then think about practice and talk about how that how that practice, they might do critical shared thinking or something, and so then they'll talk about how that works for them in their space and how they've done that. So those sorts of meetings have really helped educators become reflective in their practice.
Sometimes it's just the little things, discussions with parents, or a parent might come in and ask us, how do you build in Aboriginal or Indigenous learning into the service, or how are we going to be reflected in your service? And then that sort of a comment makes you think about, well, actually, how is that happening? It's thinking about these sorts of comments and how we can reflect that through our quality improvement plan. Are we we building in cultural competence and things like that? It's thinking more about our practice as well. It's broadened what we need to include, but at the same time it's made us think more concise about how we're going to do it, because you have to have specific strategies that you're going to achieve it in a certain time frame. So it's thinking about how we're going to be more practical in our approach.
We have a blog on the centre intranet where we might post questions related to a particular part of the framework or the standards and invite conversations to start. So we have that happening, and that's a really good way to get feedback from educators. We also have provocations in the staff room. So at the moment we've got a provocation outside the staff room door that explores some thinking about the physical environment and children's agency. So staff get to just write their ideas down in that, and that can be incorporated down the track in quips, or it can simply be used as a reflective tool for educators.
We're also feeding that back through in our newsletters to families and encouraging them to be part of those conversations. So being more reflective, which then feeds through to conversations that we're having on a daily basis. There's been some feedback. We've got iPads set up next to our sign-in sheets, and so there's been some feedback on some of those that have come through. It's finding a way to document those conversations in other forms that are, that parents can engage with.
Yeah. So I think there's still a lot we can do in that space. So I think we've got some really innovative ways of getting educator input in different ways. I think what our challenge now is to get to explore those with families as well.
So I've created a quality improvement plan that's a visual photo book. So I find that families, they don't have enough time to sit there and read through and even just understand how we formatted things and the links to the framework. So I think it's really important to show them visually. So we've used a photo book so that we can show the progression of where we've come from in the last few years and show how our quality improvement plan has changed. And even just demonstrating visually what our outcomes were, what we were trying to achieve and how we were going about it and why we were doing that. So I find that it's more beneficial to use photos and things like that, because it's really easy, simple glance, and you can understand the progression, and also it shows the relationships that were developed through that time and through those challenges that we faced as well. I think you have to start with the staff, because if you value the staff, then everything else will filter down to the children. The enthusiasm, the motivation, even the imagination that they use. So I think that ultimately all of the changes we had to the service just started the dialogue with the staff about how can we, the reflection. So how can we improve, what can we do? And once you start the talking and you continue the talking, then everything seems to fall into place.
I think you're always going to get educators who are feeling really on top of it and really engaged, and other educators who for them it's just not the right space or time. And I think at one level it's accepting that, and those people will come along on the journey when they're in the right space and time. So getting people there under sufferance means that that's what you're going to get back from them.
You're just looking at people's qualities and what people are interested in, and allowing them to have a little bit of space to run with that.
And learning styles and being innovative in the way you deliver training. So providing online opportunities, or we found that the way that staff started to get really interested was having some meetings where we might have a video and then just talk about it. So we used some of the really good resources that are out there, videos of conferences that were held that were unpacking the NQF and things like that. And it meant that we always provide dinner. I have to say that's a really good way to get people engaged.
Draws people in.
So have a meal together, watch a video, and then just engage in conversation. So people's contributions, then they feel really valued. They're taking away different things from those things, and they feel like there's sort of value in coming along. So I think that's a good way of doing it. Find out what people want, how they like to learn. Some people like to read. Some people like to watch. Some people like to go along to training and then come back and share. The other thing I've found really useful was to try and send 2 people to a training course. Because I think if you go to a training course, or professional development opportunity, you come back really fired up and nobody else is fired up with you,
Yeah,
and it's
hard
really
to
hard to
convey that.
share. It's really hard to convey it, and it's really hard to stay motivated. If you've got a colleague who's gone with you, you can keep bouncing those ideas off each other and challenge each other to make the change. And I think that's made a big difference for us, is to invest the resources in asking, sending more than one staff member to the off-site kind of training.
The staff, with their professional development, we've really increased our budget in that area because we want job satisfaction for our staff, and we want to reward them for sticking with us through the hard times that we've faced. So right now it's about how do they want to improve, what further studies do they want to do, and just supporting them in that. And then when they're happy, then the environment's going to be pleasant, all the kids are going to be happy, and all the outcomes that we want to achieve will happen normally. I think we feel more cohesive as a team. I think that the quality improvement plan has given us goals to work towards, but it's the practices that we implement on a day-to-day basis that's brought us closer as a team. So it's thinking about, how can I give individuals a part in this? How can we all play a role so it's not just mine or a management sort of process, it's everybody. So if they feel like they're being valued within the process and their ideas are being valued within the process, then it'll work out a lot better in the long run.
It's just the nature of the sector that you have to have meetings outside hours. We've worked really hard to find innovative ways to get involvement, but limiting that contribution out of hours if it doesn't suit people for family or personal reasons. So we've got
the blogs we've been doing.
Yeah, the blogs we've been doing help people emailing each other ideas, looking at ways to get together during the day instead.
And because we're all in different rooms, it means, and we all might be planning completely different things, or sometimes surprisingly enough, one common theme has been fed through all the rooms, so we can bounce off ideas of how we've engaged children or encouraged children, or it's just the editing process as well. You've got someone there that can edit or put your ideas into words that perhaps you're struggling with.
Now, in terms of promoting that consistency with all staff, because they all need to be able to understand how it links and the structures through it, we provide the opportunity for our assistants to also come off the floor as well as our room leaders, so that they have the opportunity to think through the structure of a learning story and understand how it links in with our reflection and through our program and the follow on from that. So I think that's a really positive process.
Once a year we have a whole centre professional development day. So there's that one opportunity that's not late at night, it's during the day when everybody's fresh, where you can actually connect as a team. So I think that makes a huge difference as well.
Yeah.
That common starting point.
Everyone gets involved, and it's ongoing. Would you say? It's like.
I would say it almost seems energising. That even though it seems like you're doing more, it actually gives you more energy and makes you more committed to perhaps what you're wanting to achieve.
Yeah,
and you're always looking for new ideas, because we all want to contribute. We want to work as a team, so it becomes everybody's looking for new ideas all the time.